We break the news.
One Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News.
Welcome to Core
A
TV
24-hour news station.
Also been looking at the emergency rule that a part of the House has approved 6 months while we're waiting the outcome from the other one. If any, looks like it's almost a done deal because
the writings are clear on the wall.
It's clear because one part of the House already have accepted it. Maybe what we've seen now is just formality.
And if you consider that the House of Reps seems to have more opposition, more APC members than at the floor of the Senate. So if you look at it politically right now, you'll know that it is a PDP agenda, so to speak. The federal government wants an extension, and if the House of Reps could, accept it, then it's a done deal for the House of Senate, no doubt. It's time now to find out what your comments are on our social feeds, and you too can be a part of what we're discussing right now. You know what to do. If you have any media platform gadget with you, can of course go to Facebook. It's www.facebook.com/Core TV News, and as well on Twitter it's at Core TV News NG, and also on YouTube at www.youtube.com/Core TV News, and that's how we get to find out what you are saying at this time. Let's start with you, Barrister. Earlier on, we established the fact that there is a need for collaborative efforts from all the government, all stakeholders. But then, how do the people, the populace, how do they get themselves involved? Because unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of pessimism in the Nigerian citizenry. Many are of the opinion that government is not doing as much. Earlier in the news, we've been hearing a lot of bomb scare in southwestern part of Nigeria, and most of it is coming from the people. How can the people get involved in the fight against terrorism in Nigeria?
A lot of ways, if you would ask me. Let's start from the practical example of what is happening now. Since our guests were taken away, you find out that across Nigeria there is a unanimity of voice as regards the need to really rescue those girls. And you see a lot of demonstrations, a lot of mobilizations, a lot of people are talking about it. That is a very practical example of some of the support that the government, the soldiers, and then other security arms of the government require to boost their morale. Okay. Secondly, he's also sending a signal to the Boko Haram people that the Nigerian people are no longer going to tolerate the excesses, especially in undermining and then disrupting the education of the average Nigerian child, not just the girls alone. In the past, they have gone to an agricultural school where they killed some boys, roasted them in their hostels and all that. So at that level, you find out that whether you be Muslim, whether you be Christian, whether you be enemy, somebody who doesn't even believe in anything, the Nigerian people are speaking for the first time with one voice that, look, this excess of the Boko Haram is no longer going to be tolerated.
We saw the civilian JTF at work, just like a big question there. But before we go there, let's find out. There's one now. There's a Twitter.
It's coming from. It's a Facebook comment from Akim Alimi. This one says, "These Nigerian army officials at the war front cannot trust each other. We should just announce a surrender to Shekau and call senseless war.
I call this senseless war.
How do you react to that?"
Yeah, that's a very cheeky one from
Akim.
From Akim and all that. Yeah, he's worrisome when you look at the performance of the girls, of the Nigerian army. But I wouldn't want us to lose faith yet in these people. Like I said, the soldier is also a human being. He has his fears, he has his aspirations, he has his ambitions. He also requires his morale to be boosted when it is required to be done. And like we also said, they are facing this challenge for the first time. Yes, we had the civil war. The generation of soldiers that fought in the Nigerian civil war are no longer there. Most of the people that we have in the Nigerian army today have not really had practical battle experience, or most of them are having practical battle experience for the first time. Yes, they may have done peacekeeping operation a few of them may have gone to Sierra Leone and Liberians and all that. But when you look at the percentage who have had practical life battle experiences, they are very few. So as this war drags on and all that, I am sure that the average Nigerian soldiers will become a better fighting, passing machine on the battle. So let them give them the benefit of doubt. The other one is the soldier does not work in a vacuum. He requires intelligence report, and I'm saying that this intelligence report is better given by even the man or the woman, the ordinary citizen who is not part of the security forces. Like we said, the Boko Haram people stay in one particular place. They go to the market to buy foodstuffs and all that. They will have armories, bunkers where they will keep their weapons and all that. And if they are going to attack one place or the other, by the time they begin to go in convoy, we do know that the dress in Nigerian Union soldiers uniform, they wear the police uniform, and so it's very difficult for the local population to distinguish who is a Boko Haram soldier from the
people around the community should know people that lives around them. Like for instance,
exactly.
if I have the faces on my streets where I stay, I should be able to know that I've not seen Mr. Kim before. So of course I may not know your name, but we should be able to cooperate with the security personnel. If you see a strange face around, you should be able to raise some level of alarm.
I agree absolutely with you. In fact, if you watch some of the interviews or some of the girls who escaped from from this abduction, some of them said that some of the people who actually came for them were people they know in the local community, young boys who have been part and parcel of their life, that they were even surprised, or initially they had the confidence that these people actually came to rescue them. Only after they have entered the vehicle for the people to declare that, look, we are Boko Haram people, we have come to kidnap you and then take you to some places and all. So I agree with you that the local community or the people in the community should be able to shift the grain from the chaff, be able to identify who a Boko Haram person, and then volunteer information to the security people for them to work with. If the Nigerian soldier begin to get intelligence reports as regards the movement of the Boko Haram, where they keep their arms and ammunition, where they have their bases, where they store their weapons and all that, I am sure the soldiers will be more effective on the battlefield.
Let's check this out. It's from Bakari Bolatito, and he says, throats slit, families broken, hopes dashed, and pains festering. Nigerian politicians continue to play politics. Can they see the handwriting on the wall? War is here. And that seems to be what we hear everyone say, that we are at war. But if you link that with what the civilian JTF did in Borno, they came out with their slugs, their stones, and they attacked Boko Haram members. As a matter of fact, media report says that about 200 Boko Haram members were killed. But what's the implication of this on law and order in that state, where we see civilians take laws into their hands to fight for themselves?
Beautiful question, if you ask me. It's a very, very dangerous. That is why we as lawyers, we are always wary of mob action, instant justice, in which people will take laws into their hand and all that. Because in the process of you taking laws into your hand, you do it in anger. There is no time to really contemplate and then to think through the consequences of your action. You really cannot immediately determine who the enemies are, who the Boko Haram are, and these are innocent bystander. Because when the Boko Haram people, if for example, look at what happened in Abuja when they were said to occupy one uncompleted building, and I'm sure there will be some strangers, some bystanders, innocent people who didn't even know that these people who were occupying this place have some sinister motives. And so, in the process of people taking laws into their hand, in the process of doing jungle justice and all that, innocent people may actually become victims, they may lose their lives and all. So we must be very, very careful. That is why most times we advise as lawyers that when you association, when you feel that certain persons belong to the poker, don't mete out instant justice to them, don't kill them, arrest them, hand them over to the nearby police station, to the nearby army post, to the nearby SS headquarters, who will now put them through investigation and then keep the grain from the child.
But what is the provision of the law if insurgents are approaching a community with intent to kill, and then the community arose to fight back, in the process killing about 200 people? Is that act punishable under the Nigerian law?
My understanding of the law is that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria give you the right of self-defense, not just to defend your life, but even if your property is under threat from destruction, from invasion, from arsonists and all that.
Attack
of course you can fight back. The law will fight for you if you do that. You don't wait for the police or the army to come before you start protecting your property, before you start protecting your life. But in doing it, you also must be careful. If it is possible for you to apprehend the attacker, the assailant, with minimum force, that is not likely to lead to the loss of lives and other. The law allows you to do that first, rather than to go out to start taking people's lives.
We must also bear in mind that the signal detail might not be as coordinated as Nigerian
exactly.
military.
But then, Barrister, how do you link that to the outburst of Nigerian army? That after they were being called back from from their assignment, and then they feel they were betrayed by their superior, their commander, and then they on their way back they shot at his vehicle. Now, is that punishable by law, or do you see that as an act of insubordination?
It is an act of insubordination. That's, for me, is a mutiny. Even if your commander-in-chief or even the GOC himself is not infallible, he may make some tactical errors when he's giving commands to the troop. It is not for the rank and file to now take laws into their hands. As soldiers, as policemen, as people in the SSS and all that, there are channels by which you vent your grievances, which I would have seen them do, rather than to start shooting at their GOC and then...
Let's take a couple of these feeds coming from our Facebook wall. This one says, Shekau strikes me as a non-entity. The Nigerian government strikes me as clueless. Jonathan is just Jonathan. We know he's a man surrounded by hungry dogs. Please help him. All right, let's take another one now. This is from... can we have another one coming on? Okay, this from our Twitter handle. Bruno Attila is saying, let the northerners be given, let them be given their own states, okay? And anyone going there is on his own. Boko Haram will stop. That's another secession. That's another Biafra, so to speak. Is that a possibility that we have the northern part of Nigeria seceding from the country?
No, that would be foolish. It would be a foolish thing to do in several respects. Let us go back to history. When Uthman Danfodio declared his jihad, as soon as he seized the Sokoto and consolidated his hold on the north, what did he do? The next thing was to march on Ilorin, and then he took over Ilorin. And as soon as he consolidated his hold on Ilorin, he marched on Old Oyo, and then the Old Oyo was almost sacked and all that. If the colonial masters had not intervened and all that, the desire, so to say, to read the Quran by the Atlantic Ocean in Lagos State will probably have become a reality. So what I'm doing at is that if you say, look, let's give it to them, you can be rest assured that by the time they consolidate their hold on the north and all that, they will march on the south. And Shekau has no has not hidden these things. He says, look, our agenda is not just for the north. Our intention is to Islamize the whole of Nigeria.
Another question we might be asking is the North united in this cause of Islam? Is it Islamicizing, or what do we call it now, of the nation? Because of course you recall that Sharia law, so to speak, is effective in certain states in the north. Would you say that the northern part of Nigeria is united in this Islamic cause?
No, they are not. Certainly even the allies of the north, some of these people like Wagwa Abdullah and the rest of them who make inflammatory statements and all that, I am sure they will not want to live under a Shekau, under a government that is run by the Boko Haram, because it's going to be a rule of thumb, not the rule of law. So there is no unanimity among them as regards that. But whether there are sympathies for the Boko Haram people in some quarters in the north, you can be rest assured that there's going to there are some sympathy. It's just that certain people may not agree with the methodology by which the Boko Haram people are plotting this strategy and all that. So if at the end of the day, the Boko Haram people, because this is very, very important, what is the strategy of terror? Terror will try to overwhelm its environment. And once it overwhelms the environment, whether you agree with it or not, you have no alternative other than to make yourself available.
Look at what Bukola Cook says on our Facebook wall. There was a country was written by Chinua Achebe in remembrance of Biafra. Let's hope another there was a country will not be written
in memory of Nigeria.
In memory of Nigeria.
No, I don't think so. I have a very strong suspicion that Nigeria will be there forever, and that we as a people will continue to live together. Why do I say this? When you look at the average person, the average Nigerian, whether they be in the north, whether they be in the south, whether they be in the east and northern, do they actually agree with the value system that the Boko Haram people are trying to impose on the rest of us? I doubt it. These people are saying that they want a theocratic state, a state that is ruled by the Sharia, in which people's hands and legs will be amputated as soon as they commit very little infractions and all. I don't think any Nigerian want to live under that value, whether they be in the north or in the south and all. So if we are unanimous that is not the kind of value we want on ourselves and all, for that very simple reasons and all, I don't see the Boko Haram people winning this war. They may be around for some time, they may create a lot of hardship for the rest of us and all that, but by and large, I think Nigeria as a nation will get by, so that we'll be able to defeat them. Look at the contradictions in the Boko Haram ideology. Here are people who say Western education is very, very bad. But look at all the things that they use, whether the AK-47, whether the GSM, whether the armor tanks and all.
The other time Shekau was holding the book.
I was holding the book. So
all product of Western education.
All products of Western education. So these are the contradictions within their thinking. That by and large you see that ideology in the long run is never sustainable.
Let's quickly take this one is coming from Emmanuel from our Facebook page. Corruption is father of Boko Haram. Insurgency, the mother of insecurity, the mother of insurgency. They will protect their beloved child at all costs. We meet the monsters.
We'll take a couple of more, and then before we come to you, let's have other ones coming up now. This is from Engineer Tunde. The government of Borno must be charged by the International Criminal Court for aiding and abetting killers. I'm sure the traditional rulers know Boko Haram members, and that's another indictment to stakeholders in the north. This is coming from Hamid Sidi Ali. What does the Borno situation portend for the forthcoming election in 2015, and is there any hope for the resolution of the crisis? I'm sure we talked about that earlier on, talking about the relationship between the insurgency in northern Nigeria and elections in 2015. This is Haruna D. Fikar. The essence of military in the three states does not mean there must be emergency rule. The democratic structure and the military can coexist, and that seems to be the basis of many arguments that we've seen that play out in the past year. A democratically elected governors going side by side with military rule. But then even governors of these states do attest to the fact that it did not work. What way out now as we begin to look forward to another extension?
Well, if it is not working, I will want to blame the governors for it. I have given the example this morning that there is no state of the federation that you go to in this country in which there is no security committee or the other, in which the governor, the service, the police commissioner, the GOC, the director of SSS, we on a monthly basis they meet and take decision on security. So I don't know who is holding the hands of any of these governors from ensuring that security committee that they do have at the state level makes a success of whatever security arrangement they want to put on ground. Take for example a place like Lagos. We must I'm sorry to say this, I have no apologies for saying this, that we must commend the Lagos state people in terms of security arrangement, that what they have put on ground, the cooperation that exists between the civilian authority in here and then the police commissioner, the GOCs, and what it's been working. Cameras everywhere. You see some policemen, they don't talk to you. They are with their gun, they are stationed in strategic places, and what have you. And this, in a way, a few years before now, armed robbery used to be a daily occurrence in Lagos. But since how many years now, we've not been here of armed robbery in somebody. Kidnapping too has not been too rampant in an environment like Lagos and other. Even the gang fighting that we see in places like Moshi and Bariga and other, to a large extent.
A couple of more Twitter feeds and Facebook comments coming on now. It is only in Nigeria that lightning will strike several times in one place. We're too detached from the nation and attached to personal interest. There is no nation, just self. That's from John James. Away from there, let's find out more. Nigerian generals are buying houses in choice areas in Lagos. They're enjoying the dividends of insurgency. The rank and files are dying in the northeast. Why won't they revolt? That's Ulise Azubike. Okay, Sophie Oluwole talked about Judas the other day. Even Julius Caesar had Brutus. We are the certified undercover agents of Nigerian. Okay, where are the certified undercover agents of the Nigerian intelligence? Big question there. And Omobolaji Opakumbi. My fear is that if Jonathan gives the military total control of these states, another coup may just awake Nigerians. Is that a possibility at all?
It's not impossible.
Given the division in the Nigerian army now.
Well, you see, when it comes to power and the access it gives to you in terms of becoming wealthy, in terms of...
Are we smelling a military coup? Because some would say that the presidency, so to speak, does not have a real grasp on the military as we speak now in Nigeria.
It is in the process where efforts are being made to have grasp of the military. That is the subordination of the military authority to civilian rule. We are in the process of cultivating that culture. But to say that culture has taken root, it has not. Look at the Central African Republic, and then one of these, I think the Central African Republic, another, in which one ambitious young man took to the bush and all that. He overthrew the civilian government. Ever since he got there, he got into power and discovered he could not manage the place. The so-called Selika rebels and whatever. So it's not impossible if we allow the military to begin to taste power again, that you could have some adventurous military officers who will say, well, for God's sake, this country is not going the way it should be. We want to take power now, restore restore peace, order and order. After a few years and order, we go back to the barracks. It also happened not too long ago in a place like Mali. At the end of the day, you'll find that it gives us a lot of setback as a people. There is no alternative to democracy. There's going to be hiccups, lots of problems and all that, but as it matures, as it grows, as all the different sections and sectors of the economy begin to master their role within the matrix of the Nigerian nation, well, we'll be better for it. The American democracy that we talk about, people often forget. Now, it's been there for more than 200 years. It didn't happen overnight. Look at Britain. At the time, they had the kind of challenges that we do have, in which people like Cromwell will seize the king and behead him, and all sorts of coup d'etat were taking place in some of those places and all that. So these are initial teething problems that we should face as a nation as we grow this democracy. But if we allow and give it time to germinate and all that, I am sure we will all be better for it, rather than looking for one military adventurer or savior. And I say there is no savior anywhere. It is the entire Nigerian people that should put their faith into their own hand and insist that power must come from the ballot box, not from the barrel of the gun.
Let me hold you. I think this one would interest you. Akiolu was endorsing Ambode in Lagos. Inyanya, Gaidam, and Shetima were endorsing Fayemi in Ekiti. Jonathan was dancing on the grave of Inyanya victim. What a country. How do you react to that?
Well, we are all not too pleased about the performance of Mr. President, not just like I said, in terms of the way and manner he has managed this insurgency, but even in the area of economy, in terms of job creation. Look at the power sector, also look at the dilapidated state of our infrastructure. these are all not too good. And for God's sake, the PDP government have been in power for about 12, 13 years now. You would have begun to see some modicum of successes, of improvement, of laying the foundation for a greater Nigeria. So there is no doubt about it. So if the issue now is 2015 is just around the corner, if the Nigerian people feel that they are not too pleased with the performance of this government, there are more than 35 political parties in this country.
The questions
then,
also
exactly. Then you go to the ballot box and say, no, we have had enough of this political party or of these parties and other. Let us invest our votes in this other party.
Questions coming from the people.
Maybe we might have
as
a
well
different
as
to our lives.
Do we have a genuine, viable alternative to PDP and Goodluck Jonathan in Nigeria? I'm not asking you that anyway. Shell is saying there is an elephant in the room. Nigerians see it. It is taking up space. Nigerians feel it. But our leaders are determined not to talk about it. The think silence will wash it away. Away from that, let's find out other tweets and Facebook comments coming. Do we have others coming in now? But prior to that time, I saw one here that was talking about the fact that the GOC in Borno knows about what's happening as regards cooperating with insurgency. And he was saying that it is good that it has been removed. But of course, the media tells us that he was not removed. He was just transferred away from there. And recently, we've seen a lot of reshuffling in the security chiefs. And this has not helped. Immediately after that, that was when we had the Iron bomb blast. What do you think is wrong here? We keep hearing different names, but then it's not resulting into the desired change that we all crave for.
Now, let me say, if it is true that the GOC that was removed was private.
That was an allegation.
Allegation is private or some form of cooperation or payment of money for security between the rank and file. If you between himself and then the Boko Haram people, then that will be high treason. The onus lies on the security people to investigate him, and if he's culpable, he should be court-martialed and then appropriate disciplinary action taken against him, because if you do that cooperation that endangers the life of your men, such that 10 of them who went on reconnaissance will lose their lives and all that, for men that is a highly treasonable offense, and the punishment can be very, very severe.
Recently, we were celebrating the arrest of the mastermind of the Iron bomb blast in Sudan, and I was with Brownson then, and he was saying it's a right step in the right direction. But you recall that Shekau was asking for the release of some of his members that have been in prison for about 5 years. We keep arresting these people, but then we can't get information from them. So where does the problem lie? If we have Boko Haram members in custody, why is it hard to find out their sponsors and people behind this insurgency in Nigeria?
Well, let me say that it is not difficult to find their sponsors. I think the problem is that we as a nation, we have really never had the courage to deal with the sponsors of the Boko Haram. I give you one or two hypotheses. When the man who bombed the Catholic Church in Madala was going to be arrested, he was arrested at the Borno State Governor's Lodge in Abuja. You and I will know that it is not easy for an average person or for a non-entity to just walk into the governor's land, be given accommodation and all the privileges that goes with it. What have we done any investigation to really unravel what nexus there is between the man and then the Borno State Governor, so that he has unfettered access to that lot? You also remember that after he was arrested, he was handed over to a police commissioner who was investigating him, and the man allowed him to go, only for him to be released later. What happened? Why did he allow him to go? The other question I want to ask or put to our viewers this morning is that you remember when the elder statesman Ali Mongono was kidnapped in Borno State and other. It took less than 48 hours before the Northern Interest Group and other negotiated his release. If they don't know who the Boko Haram we are new to talk to and other, how is it now possible and so easy to negotiate the release of Ali Mongono within 48 hours that he was abducted and other? These are paradoxes. These are very, very salient questions.
Is it impossible for these questions to be answered by the government and power?
No, it's not impossible. And also the man you say has been arrested in Sudan, if you have been reading the bulletin that was issued by the SSR, and they said, look, this is not the first time that this man is going to be arrested. That there was a time he was arrested in connection with this Boko Haram crisis, that his father put pressure on the state and hire some smart lawyers, and all, at the end of the day we were able to get him off the hook and all that. Now compare that father to the fathers of Abu Mutalab, the man who is now in prison in the US and all that. When he knew his child has strayed and his child has become an insurgency person, the Abu Mutalab father was the first person to say, look, the path which my son is towing today, a path that is likely to endanger the peace of this nation, and he alerted the security forces. If we had been allowed to our responsibility, or if the security force had responded, or if the father had not behaved like the father of the person who now ran to Sudan and other, I am sure he would not have been around to do this other bombing that he has carried out. So what this boils down to is has to do with the courage to really enforce the law, to do what is right. It also has to do with the parents and then the community in which some of these children who are engaged in these activities come from. If the communities will not aid and abet, if they will not cooperate, if they will volunteer information as regards who and who are behind all these Boko Haram thing and other, I am sure we will all be better for it. But the other aspect of the thing that I want to raise, and like which you have also raised, is have we handled the prosecution and then the process of bringing these people to book properly? Not to my knowledge. Only a few of those Boko Haram people have actually been convicted.
And have you noticed that they get the finest of lawyers? You are a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then what is the role of the judiciary in all of these? A Boko Haram suspect gets to court, he gets the finest of the lawyers. Nigerians who also will come out publicly to speak against Boko Haram, and then we start talking about the human rights dimension of it. What's the role of insurgency of judiciary in bringing insurgency to book in Nigeria?
The judiciary, especially the bench, I must say, are just mere umpires between the state, the citizen, between the insurgency army and the Nigerian state and the Nigerian people. It is the fact that you, for example, present before them that they administer, that they would pronounce, or that they would take a decision on. If there is anybody that is culpable, in my humble opinion, I think it's the Attorney General of the Federation and then the Attorney General of those different states and all that. If, for example, I were the Attorney General of the Federation and all that, I would have by now sat down with the judiciary in which all the cases of these Boko Haram people that are before the court will be given expeditious hearing. And I will also be able to provide enough protection for this job, because it's very, very dangerous trying those people, because most times you will remember when Asali Dokubu and all the other Niger Delta militants were being tried and all that, they even go to court to threaten judges and say, look, if you try me, I would go after your family, kill you and wipe out your family. The Boko Haram people also have that resources. They have the energy, they have the wherewithal to also threaten and undermine the lives. Man, you go to most of these courts where these people have been tried. What security do we have in there?
But then look at this. Look at it on the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Now, the American government and the intelligence agents said they, at a point, they alerted Nigeria earlier before the team that forces to what it is now, Boko Haram. But Nigerian government did not take it very serious. Now, does that show the will for Nigerian government, the will to really fight this insurgency? Because even as at this time, people are also criticizing the presidency that they are very slow in their approach to tackling the insurgency.
Yeah, you are quite correct, and there's no doubt about it that the American people are alerted. You will remember long before now they have been shouting about the Islamic militancy in the Maghreb, and they will give the example of Nigeria, they will give the example of Mali and the activities of this and the finances that they were getting from some of these places. But like most aspects of our national life, we are always very, very slow. We are not proactive. It is not that the Nigerian nation wasn't doing anything. I'm aware that the state security, that is the SSA, they have a department in there that was monitoring the activities of these Islamic militant elements all over the place and that. But each time they make recommendations, each time they give advice regards what to be done, has the Nigerian state ever had the courage to do what was right? Yes, when Obasanjo was there, they did a few of those things. Some of these people were detained and other, but really getting these people to the level of being convicted for the activities and other, most times we have always charged responsibility, and it's just because these people are also very powerful people. You have had the Senator of the Federal Republic being in a way being indicted and being tried and then said to be having communications with the Boko Haram people. Well, the matter is still subject, that is still in court and all that, but telephone conversations and whatever, that kind of a man still sits in the committee, still sits in the Senate, and some sensitive committee in which sensitive information will get across to
Is
him.
the time now to have a special court that would try suspects of insurgency in Nigeria if we're having a lot of challenges with judiciary here and there?
Yeah, I am always weary of a special court, and the reason this: one, when you have a special court to try certain offenses, one, you are exposing the judges who might be serving on those special courts to a lot of danger. And again, too, when it is predicted, when people know those who will try them, then they can always find a way to compromise the process, so that we know is there, and then we know how to approach them, and then we know how to undermine those things and all that. I would rather have the court the way it is now, but only for the Attorney General to liaise with the judiciary or with the bench as regards giving expeditious hearing to some of these Boko Harams or some of these insurgency people that have been tried in some of these different courts. I will also want to see a situation in which the Attorney General of the Federation and that of the state will stop giving pardons to some of these people. Look at the man, some of the governors had in the past using their prerogative of mercy, who go to the prisons and then set free some of the Boko Haram people who were facing trials in some of these different courts. And as soon as we release them, they go back into the bush and all that, and then go back to their old habits of bombing people and raping women in some of these places. So these are areas that we need to, these are loopholes in the system that we really need to close if you are going to have an effect. It's not, the battle is not going to be won just on the battlefield. The judiciary must do its own bit, and then when some of these people are convicted, the governors of the state in which they are convicted should be ready to sign their death warrant, so that they are executed immediately. By the time some of these things begin to take place simultaneously, the Boko Haram people will know that the dinner is over.
Thank you very much for the time to join us today. We've been speaking with Barrister Tunde Kolawole. He is a legal practitioner and, of course, a public affairs analyst. It's good to have you stay the course on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's where we're drawing the curtain for today, and of course, we really hope that the federal government will take a very right decision as far as the emergency rule is concerned, because overall, it still has to do with the well-being of Nigerians and, of course, people living in Borno, Adamawa, and I think Yobe states, the 3 states involved. We hope that even the Senate will take the right decision that would bring permanent peace as far as that part of the region is concerned.
As we recall that the Senate also will be sitting next week Tuesday to finalize whether they will accept and give endorsement to the extension. We'd love to hear from you on our social media platform, and all you need to do is like our Facebook page. It's www.facebook.com/CallTV News. You can also follow us on our Twitter handle at CallTVNewsNG. And you can watch previous edition. Of course, this current edition, of course, will also be on YouTube at www.youtube.com/CallTV. Leave a space and news. That's been our show today. Many are of the opinion that all of these happenings are like pangs of birth, the sorrow, the tears, the blood that comes with giving birth. But then the questions are the midwives getting set? Are they well equipped to ensure that this season will give birth to a new season, a new time, a brand new day, a new dawn for our dear country, Nigeria? I am Nifemi Oguntoye.
And I'm Brownson Uwana. On behalf of our production crew, have a wonderful weekend.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.